Hey everybody, Nick Morganson here from the Empty the Bench Network. Big news, and we look at it. There it is. Yankees are the American League champions for the 41st time in franchise history, going to the World Series for the first time since 2009. Woo! How it feels good to be a Yankee fan. And when I tell you this was an interesting series, obviously the numbers don't show it, as they end up winning the series 4-1. This was an interesting game tonight. Obviously, Carlos Rodon on the hill needed to come up. Had a great start last time out. And this start was a little fidgety here and there. And basically did what he needed to get through 4 2/3 innings. Gave up 5 hits, 2 earned runs. It looked like Cleveland was gaining some momentum. And it just seemed like the rest of the bullpen really came through like it has been for the team all year and just fought it out and was gritty and just did what it needed to do to allow the offense to get going in this series. And by the way, the power in this series was impeccable, coming up in big clutch moments when it mattered. And I mean that quite literally. Everybody was in the right place, right time, and everything just worked out. And by the way, if you have comments, post them up, and I'll put some up on the screen, and we can discuss the game as it comes through. But there we go. Hey.
Hello.
So, are you excited?
Yeah.
Feels good, right?
Feels nice to have this feeling for the first time in 15 years.
I mean, we'll talk about the game in a second, but first time since 2009. Do you remember where you were in 2009 when that happened, or how old you were?
2009. So I would have been just shy of 15.
Okay, so I would have been. Well, I was 93. So early 93.
Yeah. It was the start of my sophomore year of high school. So you probably would have been a senior.
Yeah, so it was like the end of high school when they were, or actually, I graduated in 11. So it was, so then it was, I had to be like this, junior. So incredible moment. This game had a lot of ups and downs like the last couple games have had. I'm sure you went through the same moment I did watching this game when you saw Carlos Rodon give up the first run and the second run. And you're like, uh-oh, here we go. Cleveland's got some momentum on its side and it's going to make a run.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, but this bullpen of names, which I'm not used to, we're so used to having names in this bullpen. Guys like Mark Leiter, guys like Hill, and Jay Cousins probably deserves pitcher of the night.
Yeah. Shaky last game, but it's hard to stay perfect when you are just constantly doing what you're doing because they have been depended on a lot in this postseason. And to their credit, they have consistently pulled through.
Yeah, and just because a lot of these guys, and they said it on the broadcast, and I'll give the broadcast some credit because they actually had some interesting tidbits throughout this series. When you see the same guy out of the bullpen 4 or 5 times, eventually you're going to hit somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And in game, what was it? Yesterday's game where they ended up, game 3. It was game 3 where Noel and Fry tagged, Weaver?
Weaver.
And I'm sure you had the same questions. Are we in trouble with the bullpen a little bit?
I felt like the Yankees needed to win yesterday's game because if it was 2-2, you would have been basically letting Cleveland back into the series.
It would have been tough. Now, I know, obviously, the way the formats are in the playoffs, being 2-3-2, that kind of, maybe that's in the favor if they go back to Yankee Stadium, but I don't know. And then the Yankees are hitting tough pitchers out of that bullpen. That bullpen for Cleveland has a lot of dogs down there.
Especially Clace, who, I mean, if you're going to talk about one guy who just did not come through and just collapsed in this series, I mean, they tried to give him the Wild Thing entrance. They tried to make him the real life Wild Thing from Major League, and it backfired in a big way for Cleveland.
And you know what? I can't get mad. His performance, he actually did the thing that he normally does when he comes out of the bullpen. Throws the ball into righties with that cutter. He comes out. He actually has a good inning. It was the rest of the bullpen that imploded after him. And I can't remember the name of the pitcher. He's been good all series. But they were saying on the broadcast that if it gets to Judge and Soto, that's where the problems are going to persist. And
Correct.
then you have the error.
Well, I think that has been something that, I mean, I think that was strangely enough key to the Yankees winning this series more than anything the Yankees were doing. Cleveland, I know in the words of John Sterling, the Yankees were basically running like drunks on the base paths and just
Yes.
completely screwing up any of their momentum at times. But I mean, you had to take this in 4 or 5 when you saw the way that Cleveland was in the first 2 games, the amount of errors, the amount of blunders, uh, the pitching, all the wild pitches and pass balls that were thrown by that bullpen in game 1. Like there had to be momentum on this side. I feel good for having called it that it was going to be in 5 games.
You did call that. Yeah.
And basically the Yankees are living up, and they talked about on the post game show. They were the number 1 seed. They were because of all the Astro injuries at the start of the season, the Yankees were the preseason pick to win the pennant. And they have lived up to their expectations as a number 1 seed. Obviously, we actually talked about, I think last week, we were recapping the playoffs about the number 1 seeds and how ever since the expansion to 3 wild cards, the top seed in each league, it's not necessarily an easy path. I mean, we were just talking about a wild card round last episode where the Astros and the Orioles, 2 teams they thought were going to be in the mix in the division series, give the Yankees a run for their money. Both went down.
Well, actually, the Yankees broke the wild card trend finally that was going on in the playoffs, right?
Well, the Dodgers are doing it on the National League side. The 1 seed, the 2022 and 2023 playoffs, the NLCS had 2 wildcard teams in it, and the Dodgers finally broke that trend on the NL side. And now the Dodgers themselves are 1 game away. They win tonight, they'll play the Yankees in the World Series beginning Friday. If the Mets win, we go to Game 7 Monday night.
Can you imagine if somehow the Mets figure out how to win Game 6 and it's all on the line in Game 7?
That might be the most viewed baseball game of this season.
So tomorrow are they back to back 6 and 7?
Correct, because they're back in LA now.
Wow, that would be up against Monday Night Football if that's the case.
Monday Night Football. I was going to say Monday Night Football will get destroyed, but I can't necessarily.
I don't know if it would. I think Dodgers Mets might be must-watch baseball.
No, I said Monday Night Football might get destroyed.
Oh, no. I'm saying I think it would be must-watch baseball for sure.
Because I was going to say, well, the rest of the country wouldn't care, but I just said, but it's the Mets, and it's the 2 biggest markets in the sport. Plus, you're going to have everybody in Japan watching for Shohei Ohtani.
Oh, not even a question.
You'd have American fans watching for Ohtani, or all the memery that the Mets are. It's like, it would be must see. If the Mets somehow win tomorrow, then Game 7's vibes of that Dodgers Mets will probably have the most must watch vibes for me as a baseball fan, not a Yankee, as a baseball fan, since Game 7 of 2016, which was the Guardians, well, then the Indians and the Cubs, with one of those 2 teams guaranteed to break their streak.
By the way, Stanton obviously named the MVP.
Yeah.
That was no doubt.
I think Soto could have given him a run for the money for the way that he had that clutch hit, but the clutch home run. But no, it had to be Stanton. 4 home runs, 7 RBIs in this series. There was a no doubter, and
I think he had 1,200 OPS in this series too. Like, it was insane.
It goes back to something that we talked about last episode, and that this season has been a redemption season for Giancarlo Stanton.
We were waiting because his injuries and everything that had been going on with him have been tough. The Yankees basically were telling everybody, hey, we just got to get him through the regular season. Just let him mash in the postseason.
And to their credit, they have. I mean, and to their credit, he has mashed in the postseason.
If I'm not mistaken, what was the stat? Through 15 games, he has the most career home runs for Yankees in the postseason.
Postseason. Judge has the fourth most home runs in the postseason. Although, granted, Judge really, we call him the captain and such, but he has not been the producer of this postseason. It's been Stanton, it's been Torres, Soto finally getting hot in the last couple of games.
I mean, the one thing I will say is Judge had the big home run the night before
Yeah.
to tie the game. So he did finally had a moment. Finally, it would have looked bad if he did nothing in this series going into the World Series.
But that's my fear is that okay, now it's time to lock in. You've struggled for Judge. You've struggled in the ALDS, ALCS. ALCS got warmer. You need to deliver as the captain in the World Series.
But speaking of Stanton, I want to go back to that at bat because it just seems like Stanton comes through in those big moments. And I'm watching that at bat. I see him look awful, like the first two pitches of that at bat. Like he just totally flails at pitches. Like it's weird with him. There's no singles really in his path. Either he homers or he strikes out. And if I'm not mistaken, that was like a 1-2 count or a 2-2 count. And mistakenly, a fastball is, and I think the catcher is standing almost. He's like, up here, please, just throw it over his head, like something. And then a 446-foot bomb over the center field wall in Progressive Field. And there it is. Momentum changes. And who was the starter for Cleveland? It was
for which game?
For tonight, it was Beebe.
Yeah, Beebe.
Tanner Beebe. By the way, he looked unhittable for the first, what was it? 5 2/3 innings.
He was about to get out of there. He was about to reach a full 6 innings and get a quality start, and then the home run came.
I mean, it's like they've been saying, like Vogue hasn't really been hitting the buttons fast enough on some of these moves, and it's cost him in this series.
Well, I got a little worried for Booney's sake when he left Cousins in there to get the extra out. He gave up that double, but fortunately Cousins was able to get the strikeout. I'm like, okay, give a little bit of relief. Like that was fantastic.
I mean, I got to give credit to Cleveland in some regards because this team is good. I just think that there was just too many mistakes on the Cleveland side.
You can't have the amount of errors that you did in the series and expect to go all the way.
I mean, also that play at second base. I mean, get one. Isn't that what they teach everybody in Little League now? Get one and before you think two.
And that ultimately cost them.
Because that led to the
3-run home run.
Yeah, the Judge and the Soto at bats. Unfortunately, Judge hit into a double play right before that. Was that at bat or no?
I think your at-bats are confused.
No. Oh, that was the last one. That was when they, for Stanton. But, I don't know. But just incredible series. Now we look forward. We don't know who our opponent is yet.
I would say it's tough to preview because we have no idea. We can assume the way that things have been going, it's going to be LA. But I can't get a good... I mean, I'm assuming it's going to be LA. But, like, the Mets won and scored 11 runs yesterday. Now, the reason I say I'm leaning LA is because the Dodgers answered back, going from 11-2 to whatever. What was it, 9-2 to like 11-6. So the Dodgers are always brutal and always ready and can always hit and score runs. But at the same time, it's something like, again, we talked about just the other day, that this series with the Dodgers and Mets, I don't know what to make of it because one team dominates. It was Dodgers dominate, Mets dominate, Dodgers dominate, and now the Mets dominated in the last game at Citi Field. I don't know what I want to say. Dodgers dominate next game because it's back at home, but the Mets dominated in game 2.
Yeah, the Mets have been resilient. I think that's the best word to really describe them.
I think that's the best way to describe New York baseball this year has been resilient. Oh, yeah. You think about how the Mets at the start of the season were one of the worst teams in baseball. And then just as they were getting hot, the Yankees started that month and a half stretch where they played basically to the White Sox level of worst team in baseball.
It was bad. It was like bad news bears baseball at one point. Like they just couldn't play defense. They couldn't hit. Gleyber Torres, who was, I think he's in the leadoff spot now for the playoffs, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he's come through, even when he's making outs, he's making loud outs. Like Volpe coming through with some clutch hits himself. I'm trying to think, just going through the lineup. Verdugo. Oh, you're talking about yesterday's game, that 60-foot dribbler.
Well,
right?
I mean, I'm just talking about in general how the start of the season, he starts great and then he just nosedives to the point where everybody is calling for him to be replaced by Dominguez. And honestly, we crap on Boone and we crap on Cashman. This is one where I'm gonna have to they were right, because you saw the way he's stretching all the way back to his one appearance in the Little League Classic. I feel like he did not play left field well. Dominguez needs more time. He needs this next spring training to be ready.
You know what? I'll be happy, like, if Verdugo, obviously he's going to remain on the roster, obviously, but like if he gets a chance to really shine in this World Series and they win, because I think he's a veteran presence that they needed for some of these younger players.
I think that's the feeling at this point that should be around New York is verification, because we've questioned a lot of things, the acquisition of Verdugo and their consistent trust in him, Rizzo putting him back in so late, despite all of the injuries, people crapping on, Volpe, for not being granted a day off, and, they're constantly relying on because Gold Glove, caliber, like, all the questions about this team, and it still resulted in a 94-win season, one of the best teams in baseball, because this is a rare season where nobody even got close to the 100-win mark. Actually, the Dodgers got close at the 98, but I shouldn't say didn't get close, but nobody got to the 100-win mark. Still got the best record in the American League, and now you get your first pennant in 15 years. So
now, I wonder if it's going to come into, obviously, because the Dodgers are the number one overall seed. They're going to.
Yeah, I will. That's you going to where I was going, because if we're talking about the World Series, I feel kind of disappointed in my prediction of a Dodgers first round collapse didn't happen, because I feel like the Padres were the Yankees' best chance, and now you've got a very dangerous Dodger team with all of those bats and pitching starting to come through a bit, and then you've got the Mets, who, it's not going to be a secret. The Mets swept the Yankees in the regular season. It was the most embarrassing Subway Series the Yankees have had in a long time.
It was pretty awful. I don't know. Did we play the Dodgers in the regular season? I think we did.
Yes,
right?
we did. I believe they were here.
I don't even know. Did we win a game in that series? I don't even remember.
I want to say yes. Let me look back.
But yeah, you look that up. But just the resiliency. I'm going to keep going back to that word, because I think
we got swept.
Well,
2-1, 2-1. Oh, no. We won the last game. Lost 2-1, lost 11-3, won 6-4.
What time of the year was it?
June.
That was right around their tough stretch, right?
It was starting. I think this was when their tough stretch started, or was already a little underway.
Yeah, there was a lot of different things. Like, I don't know if Weaver was really the closer yet.
No.
At that point. Yeah, I there was a lot of different things going on. Stanton, I'm sure, was probably not up to full.
Mm-hmm. But this is also the most dangerous that this Dodgers team has looked in a while. So in a little while, ever since they won their World Series in the COVID shortened season. So that does get me a little bit concerned. And then for the Mets, well, we just talked about the magic that wild cards can produce during the postseason.
I just think, my opinion, obviously Mets fans are going to tell me not, but I think they're just out of gas. Like, just after going down 3-1. But because we all know, and it's happened once. Yes, I know. But
it's the feel. I'm very split, because my thing is, I'm, like I said earlier in the show, the way that they've been playing, I'm leaning Dodgers to close it out to tomorrow, now later tonight here on the East Coast with Game 6. But with the exception of that COVID season, like I talked about last episode, Nick, The Dodgers have just consistently found ways in their most recent history to collapse right before the finish line.
That's a
Whether it
good
be the
point.
whether it be the World Series, the Division Series, the LCS, they have just constantly found. This Dodgers team should win the World Series. We talked about it when they acquired Otani, when they acquired Yamamoto. This is a Dodgers team that needs to win this World Series, needs to win multiple World Series before all that money, all that delayed, pardon me, what's the word? Deferred money hits
Deferred, yeah.
in about a decade.
The 680 million of the 700.
If they lose, even if they lose to the Yankees, because the Yankees are the number one seed, you can say, oh, but there was the one seed. So you can, you can give them the benefit of the doubt. Even if they lose to the Yankees, that's a failure for the Dodgers, I think. You need to win World Series now that you have all that money that is deferred, to have guys like Shohei Otani, to have guys like Freddie Freeman and Mookie Betts and Yamamoto. Like, this is a dangerous team. They were pegged to win this World Series.
By far. Like, they were supposed to be the favorite. You spend $1 billion in the offseason. You get Otani. You get, well, he's out for the year. Who was the Rays pitcher that they got?
Shoot.
He was an ace, if I remember correctly. But
Look, and I'll look.
But yeah, they spent a lot of money. I mean, they got Freeman. They got Glass now. Thank you. But like, they spent a lot of money. Like, it would be a massive failure if they don't win the World Series against the Yankees.
It would be even worse failure if they managed to blow Game 6 and 7 against the Mets.
That would be worse, in my opinion, because they it's like you said, they were pegged to go to the World Series and put on a show basically when they got there.
Yeah, and I think that's the other element to this. Now that the Yankees got the pennant, baseball and Major League Baseball, Rob Manfred get their wish. It's either going to be a Yankee classic, old school Yankee Dodger World Series where you can promote Otani and Judge and Soto and Freeman and Betts, or you're getting a Subway Series. The baseball just got its dream with the Yankees winning the pennant.
Yeah, and by the way, like, I'm looking at the MLB Twitter account right now. Like, the last 5 posts have like all been Yankee live video, Yankee everything. So there's your answer for who they wanted.
Mm-hmm. They wanted it. And they wanted it. And like I said, now it's a win-win. They're going to get one of the two, we did the 4 options. Now they get option 1 or option 2. Judge versus Otani, or Subway World Series 2.0.
Now, let's talk about Cleveland for a second, because that's brutal. Like, and I thought I saw another stat that the Yankees have eliminated Cleveland for the 4th time in the past 8 seasons. I mean, is that almost like Yankee Twins, like, a little bit?
Well, you have to remember, 2017, Yankees were actually down at a whole 0-2. And they had to win Game 3 in Cleveland, Game 4 in Cleveland, and then win Game 5 in New York. Because Girardi had just really screwed up the pitching. I forget what the pitching decision was in Game 2. Oh, no, wait a minute. Other way around. They had to win Game 3 in New York, Game 4 in New York. The Yankees were the wild card that season. Yes. Then they had to win Game 5 in Cleveland.
That was a crazy series, too, if I remember. But But to get eliminated by the same team 4 out of the last 8 seasons, that's brutal. Like, I don't know. Should Cleveland be happy that they made it to the ALCS? I don't know.
I don't know, only because they were right there. It was neck and neck that the Yankees and Guardians for the number 1 seed.
I mean, no one knew Vogue as the manager who took over. That was like such a surprise hire.
That's the thing. They are still a young team. There is still a little bit of time.
Those Naylor brothers, too. Like, they were insane.
Yeah, so eliminated them in 17. The Yankees played the then Indians in 2020. Remember that expanded wild card round? The 16-teamer? The Yankees beat the Guardians in that series. And then the Yankees beat the Guardians in 22, the infamous Rock the Baby series.
Oh, my God. Yes. That was so dumb, by the way.
From Cleveland, yeah.
Yes. That's like the Who's Your Daddy thing with Pedro.
The last time The last time the Cleveland beat the Yankees in the playoffs, 2007 ALDS, with the Bees at Progressive Field or Jacobs Field. Then
Wait, was it the bees or was it the midges?
midges.
The things that were flying all over the field. I don't think it was bees.
The midges. That's right.
Because remember they had to take a full can of bug spray and spray Jabba Chamberlain
Yeah.
on the mound.
Well, regardless,
I know some people who were at that game, by the way.
Really?
They were, and they said it was as bad as it was on TV.
They met twice in the 90s, by the way. Ever since the invention of the wild card, they lost to Cleveland in the ALDS in '97. Then they beat Cleveland in the ALCS in '98.
Well, Cleveland was like the team of the '90s. I remember that too.
The Braves.
Well, no, the Braves too. But I'm saying on the AL side, like Cleveland was a basher team in the '90s.
True.
But I don't know. I wouldn't say Cleveland has to go back to the drawing board. Like, they have a really good team. Their bullpen is good. I just think it was fundamentals that really cost them this series. I mean, the 4 wild pitches, which you and I talked about early on in this series.
Mm-hmm.
The error at second base tonight, which you have to get one there. If you get one there, I don't know if that home run happens.
No.
So that literally changed.
I mean, actually, probably still does. Probably 4-2. But
it changes the momentum, though, of the way the inning goes. Because if you look at the Yankee lineup, like, even though everyone has performed in even a small way, there is holes in the Yankee lineup, for sure. And when you get to the bottom of this lineup, and you get past, like, Rizzo, like, I'm looking at the lineup now, so Torres, Soto, Judge, Stanton. The Chisholm Jr. spot kind of throws me in this lineup a little bit. And then they finally moved Austin Wells out of that cleanup spot, which was probably a good move. And you look at the bottom lineup, so it's Volpe, Wells, and Verdugo. And actually, those guys have come through in some regards. So, I don't know. So, like, people think there's holes in the lineup, but these guys have been scrappy, and they've come through, and they really figured out how to perform. And do you have a blank check for Juan Soto?
Yeah, I think that's the other thing. Going back to the talk about Soto, going back to Judge's struggles, again, reiterating something I said on ETB Sports, and I think it's actually further cemented tonight. Any of those arguments about, oh, Judge is the captain, I don't know if you can pay Soto more, done. You have to pay Soto more than you have
after
to pay
that
Judge.
home run. You're not going to pay him? Like, are you kidding? Like,
the guy after that home run. To be very honest, I'd rather have Soto on my team than Judge.
Wow, I never thought I'd hear you say that.
I honestly would.
That's crazy. That's a sentence I thought I'd never hear you say.
I never thought I would say that too. But if Judge, I don't think he would. And I'm just saying, if it ever comes up, Judge doesn't want Soto to be paid more than him. I think that's shameful of him. Like I said on Tuesday when we record, as my opinion, as the captain, you have to make the sacrifices that you need. You need to do whatever for your team to win.
Yeah. I mean, first of all, Judge, that would be so petty as a captain to not look at the long-term goals of the franchise. Because think about it. Let's think ahead. They win the World Series, however that happens.
Well, I actually, since we're talking about looking ahead, that's something to also consider too when we talk about verification about this team, because now this is going to be this team's only chance to play in the World Series. When I say this team, I mean of its current core and iteration, because if you're going to pay Soto, again, what we talked about Tuesday, if you're going to pay Soto, or if you're going to just humor me a little bit, you said, okay, instead of paying Soto, we'll give a little money here, put Bregman at third, put a little money here to get Alonso first. Torres is not coming back. Rizzo is not coming back. Verdugo is not coming back. You need then to Grisham is not coming back. So that's part of the verification why this team needed to get here, because now we can say they won a pennant, they played in a World Series. I love to win in a World Series, but as of right now, 2 out of 3 ain't bad. Uh, but
Yeah.
but again, and actually it goes to something Kay talked about in his radio show about a week or so. Since this is the last chance in iteration, and if you're going to pay some of these big name players, others are going to go. When you're talking about the future of this team, you have to consider what the future is going to look like. Obviously, Volpe is still going to be the shortstop, unless I know people are calling for him to not be, but unless you have some team out there that really needs a shortstop and is willing to give you pitching in order to get it, you're not moving Volpe. Uh, Oswaldo, the future right now are all those guys that are utility that are coming off the bench. So Oswaldo Cabrera is probably going to be there at some point.
Dominguez.
Jazz, what happened?
Dominguez.
Dominguez as an outfielder, either as your left fielder or as your fourth outfielder. Chisholm. How do you feel about Chisholm, and where do you put him? Because I was so concerned about him playing third, and there still are concerned about him playing third and getting used to the position. But do you think the Yankees are set on him at third base, or if Torres is really going to be gone, you move him over to second and you put, say, a Cabrera at third base?
I mean, since Cabrera could play first, I think he can play third.
Or first base, because Rizzo's going to be gone. So either Ben Rice is going to have to develop more, or you're going to have to get a first baseman.
And what about DJ, who's lost in this whole scenario?
Right. Well, the thing is,
I think they're going to have to eat his contract at this point.
Well, that's the thing. Goes back to, DJ is going to be, that they were concerned about eating the contract. Now they talked about, the reports recently, the last month, that they might be willing to eat the $30 million. But if you do that and you don't re-sign Rizzo, like he goes to Chicago or whatever for one last run, you're out of first baseman. You have zero. You have Cabrera, but he's a utility guy. You need a first baseman.
Well, maybe you go after Bregman, you get him cheaper because he's not the same guy anymore. Maybe you can get him on like a 2-year deal, something cheaper, like maybe like $8 to $10 million a year.
Unless you keep Jazz at third, you put Cabrera at first, and then you go and get a second baseman.
You could do that too. There's always plenty of second basemen.
Or you promote Peraza back up and you put him at second base.
They're all possibilities. There's plenty of options. The Yankees have plenty of options.
Mm-hmm.
But for the Chisholm question, he's gotta calm down at the plate, like big time.
I'm not talking about at that. I'm talking about where he fits in the field. He's going to be on a spot next season. He's going to be in the.
He's going to be a starter, yes.
But where are you putting him?
He did make some really good plays at third base all year once he came in.
Right.
But I don't know if that's a settling position for him.
He played second base, I think, before he went.
He was a second baseman. He was a second baseman and a shortstop when needed. So he's got plenty of arm. That's why they put him at third base. You could put Cabrera at third. You could go get Bregman. First base is going to be tougher because you're not going to go out and pay Pete Alonso if you're going to pay Juan Soto. That's the big issue. So you're not going to give Soto $600 million plus, and you're not going to go give Pete Alonso $300 million plus. You're just not going to do it.
One, the days of George are over, and number two, that's still $1 billion. The Yankees would basically, even if this was the days of George, they would be in tax hell, basically.
George wouldn't have cared. He would have paid it, but not that I'm saying it's right by any means. But baseball, like, teams are willing to pay the penalties in baseball.
Fair, but you can't just chase after one. And at the same time, and even if this is, just talking about Soto, if you're the Yankees, like, did you see what they did this offseason where they acquired from the Guardians, Oscar, what is his name? The SpongeBob walk-up music.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Before they acquired Verdugo, before they acquired Soto from the Padres. It's like
Yeah,
hopefully you get what I mean, but I say you have to keep moving. You cannot put all of your eggs in the Juan Soto or Pete Alonso basket while everybody else signs everywhere else. You gotta
they got to go be aggressive. Is basically what you're saying out on the
plan
market.
A, plan B, plan C. It's like, okay, we'll sign this guy just in case, and then we can throw him in a trade or put him in the minors if we get Soto.
I
Like
just hope we don't have a World Series hangover. That's the one thing I'm worried about.
that too. But all I'm saying is you have to be aggressive, yes, but be active. Don't just wait for the big guys. Get your smaller positions because, like we just said, you're gonna have some holes after this offseason. If it's true that, and it's under the assumptions, Torres ain't coming back, Rizzo ain't coming back, Dugo's not coming back, Grisham ain't coming back. You got to fill your holes, especially in the pitching, because the bullpen is doing well. Great, yes, but we weren't saying that a month or two ago.
No, by the way, speaking of that rockabye thing we were
Mhm.
talking about earlier, they're showing the post game show on Yes, and Stanton just did the rockabye motion with the
Oh,
MVP award. Him and Torres did it.
oh. I was gonna say because I was gonna say if it was Stanton, then I think because isn't his home run celebration something like a rocket? But
I think so. Yes, I think you're right.
all his arms to one
Yes,
side and the other.
I think so. Yeah.
So I was gonna say if it was just Stanton, then I wouldn't have worried about it because he's just his home run celebration. But if Torres, don't do that, guys, because you know that's gonna bite you in the ass if you lose now.
It's funny. I'm looking at it now. So Stanton took the trophy and did it himself, and Torres was kind of right behind him, as like making fun of it. So I don't know.
I'm
This is
happy.
crazy. Major League Baseball is still posting like obscene amounts of Yankee stuff right now.
It's the ALCS win.
Yeah. It's the ALCS win, not the World Series win. Come on now. But it's amazing. And like now I'm seeing this is the John Boy person. What is his name?
There's several John Boy people. You have to be more
No,
specific.
no, I know. Oh, Joe. I can never say his name. Joe's McFly.
Joe's, yeah.
That guy's insane.
I know.
Um.
I met him though. He was a nice guy.
Oh God, is this report true? I might have to switch sports in a second. But
What's going on?
there's an investigation being brought into the Jets right now.
What?
It was posted 4 hours ago by Adam Schefter that after the Jets' acquisition of Devontae Adams, a select group of NFL teams have inquired into whether New York would be willing to trade Garrett Wilson. I don't want to get angry right now. I want a Yankee victory.
Yeah, take pleasure in the Yankee victory. But I will say on that, you can't. You can't.
Don't ruin it before you get there. Please.
Literally, Ben was going off on Football Friday that you have a wide receiver core now of Adams, Wilson, and then Lazard, who's been catching the touchdown. You don't ruin what you have.
No, the Jets think they can't have nice things.
I guess not, but well, we got a nice thing.
Yeah.
I will conclude by saying this. And for all the celebration, I'm going to seem like a down. I don't know if a World Series is guaranteed, considering the two teams that are left right now. Either playing the Dodgers or the Mets, it's going to be brutal. But this is a nice feeling to have. 15 years after it last happened, I was able to jump out of my seat to celebrate the Yankees being the American League champions. And it was nice to finally get to hear Sterling make that call.
It wasn't the same though, because he doesn't have the same strength of voice, but like it felt good.
But like after, obviously we did in 09, but after that horrid collapse that traumatized me as a young fan at like 9 years old, just coming short in 10 and 12, having that unbelievable 17 season where people thought with all the young player, a young Judge, a young that that we were probably going to end up missing the playoffs, and to come within a game like that heartbreak, the heartbreak of 18, getting 100 wins and then having to play a 108 win Red Sox and lose that, to lose in 19 how we did, the infamous Chapman smile, to get swept like we did against the Stros in 22, to miss the playoffs in 23 and nearly miss the playoffs in 21. Like, it's a weight off the shoulders. Finally, back in the World Series.
Gotta win. I feel like momentum is leaning. They gotta win. They gotta find a way to get this victory. Now, Dodgers are going to be a tough opponent, one way or the other. That just looking at the murderers row alone
And
between Mookie and Freddie Freeman and Otani.
and I'll add one more thing on the Dodger end. If the Dodgers win, they have home field advantage. You got to travel to LA.
So they would have the middle 3 games of that
No,
series.
they would have 1, 2, 6, 7.
Oh, is the format different in the World Series?
No,
Okay.
the Dodgers had 98 wins. The Yankees only had 94.
Oh, got it. Okay.
For the Yankees to have the home field advantage, the Mets have to win the back-to-back.
I just don't see that happening at
Neither
all.
do I.
But stranger things have happened.
I was gonna say, actually, I shouldn't say that because I did predict Mets in 7. I did talk about the Dodgers
Oh,
collapse.
that's right. You did say that. I
Because
forgot.
I did talk about the Dodgers collapse. But you're right. The way that series has gone, I don't see it.
The Mets had what, a 10% chance of making the playoffs?
Right. But that's the other thing to talk about, which kind of maybe hurt the Mets here and might hurt the Yankees. The West East Coast trip. Just you're gonna have to constantly go back and forth between the East and West Coast. What you have to hope for is that the Dodgers are, this is going to sound stupid, but the Dodgers are a warm weather team. When they come up here to the cold weather in October, that affects them. That's what you're going to have to hope. The problem is the Yankees have a bunch of warm-blooded players themselves.
Yeah, I don't know. The Dodgers are going to be a tough competition, but maybe
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say maybe we can catch the pitching at the right time if they're not doing well, but I don't know.
Right. I'm very curious to hear what the better baseball minds and Ben and Ryan have to say, because that episode's probably coming out in its normal Friday slot, a few hours before Game 1's pitch is thrown.
Wow, the timing really worked out on that one.
Yeah, Game 1 of the World Series is going to be Friday, either at Yankee Stadium if it's Yankees Mets, or at Dodger Stadium if it's Yankee Dodgers.
Man, that's going to be electric at Yankee Stadium if it's Game 1. Oh man, I don't know. I'm trying to think how it would, because you can basically line up now because you won the series.
But that's the other important thing. Yeah, you can talk about momentum because they're not playing for a week, but now Cole's going to be rested. You didn't have to use Cole for a second time this series. He's good to go Game 1. Rodon's going to be rested with this week, right? He's good to go Game 2. You're going to have Schmidt and Heel once again ready for 3-4.
If the bullpen gets a rest.
All the bullpen gets a rest. You'll have Stroman ready, either as a long reliever or if you need to use him for a Game 5 to get Cole and Rodon ready for a 6-7, you got him for Game 5.
I mean, I think all momentum is going to come down to Game 1 if that's the series. Like they gotta if they're Game 1.
I know. I talked about how in '96 the Braves smacked the Yankees around 12-1, but the Yankees still went on to the World Series. I just don't see that happening. If the Dodgers smack the Yankees around in Game 1, like they smacked the Mets around in this NLCS,
that's going to be a World Series killer,
yeah.
I think. But, like I said, the Dodgers pitching is not perfect by any means, and maybe they might have a better chance of hitting them. The Cleveland bullpen was the number 1 bullpen in baseball.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you could beat the number 1 bullpen in baseball, maybe it'll be easier against the Dodgers. I don't know. Or the Mets, but I don't know. We're looking ahead, but I don't know. Do you see this officially going 7 still in the Dodger Met series or no?
Maybe for the sake of the Dodgers not having as much rest, I'm gonna hope so.
Do you think it? Well, let's talk about lineups since we talk about the Yankees if they line up. So let's say the Dodgers win tomorrow. Do we know who's pitching tomorrow?
Let me look. Dodgers, Mets, game 6. Actually, hold on. I could just do it on the score app.
So it just says Mania versus undecided.
They can't be on this slide at 1 in the morning on Sunday.
That's on ESPN.
This says I do not have a pitching matchup, actually.
Yeah, this says Mania's going for the Mets.
Let's see.
There's no way they would bullpen a game 6, would they? That would be crazy.
Crazy, but we've seen strange things happen. We've seen. Oh my God. Last report, USA Today, 32 minutes ago, the Dodgers are going with a bullpen game.
What?
Oh my God.
Are you begging the Mets to come back in this series? If the Mets don't take advantage of tomorrow, then I don't know what to tell you. If that's the case.
If the Mets win game 6, then does that mean game 7 would be Yamamoto versus would it be Senga or would it be Sevy?
No, because Sevy pitched recently, so it can't be Sevy.
Wow, they would have to put game 7 on Senga's hands. I don't know if that's smart.
Now, if the Dodgers win in 7, is that in the Yankee favor?
That's what I just said before. If anything, give the Dodgers less rest.
But I'm saying that also screws up their pitching.
Right, because then would they let Yamamoto pitch game 1 on just 3 days rest?
I doubt it. Because of the injuries, they're not going to let him.
They would go to somebody like a Flaherty or something?
They might have to because they can't risk Yamamoto. Now, I understand it's the World Series. You want to win, but this early on in his career, I just don't. And already being out for most of the season, I don't know if they can pitch him on 3 days rest. And remember, he coming over from Japan where they pitch on 6 days rest, usually. Yeah. That's very interesting if this goes 7.
Well, having said that, if the Dodgers choose to take the risk, they have to pitch Yamamoto game 7 and they risk it in game 1. Then if you're the Yankees, that's a must win. You must smack him around.
I mean, Flaherty's got injuries too. Let's not forget that.
Right.
So that's why everyone's saying the Dodgers pitching is all banged up. Now it's gotten healthier.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. Like we said, the Yankee pitching is going to be able to rotate itself back into normal. So obviously you'll have Cole in 1. Who we say would follow? Oh, well, Rodon.
Rodon in 2. It'd probably be Schmidt again in 3 and Heel again in 4.
I would take Schmidt again in 3 because he actually looked pretty good on the road. But that's a lot to ask out of him in game 3.
Jazz Chisholm just yelled into Meredith and Rockefeller's microphone, "Pay Juan Soto."
I don't disagree with the man.
Well, the crowd was chanting it when.
Yes, they said it was so loud that you could hear it on the mics, and that's in Cleveland.
Mm-hmm. Well, they had a bunch of Yankee fans there. Yankee fans tend to travel well.
I was going to say the Yankee fans are probably the best traveled fan base in all professional sports.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, look at that! Yankees always in sell mode. Be sure to grab your World Series merch. World Series merch?
That they're playing in the World Series.
No, I know, but I'm just saying, like, already?
Yeah, no. The MLB store announced tonight that they would have hours like up to midnight or just past it for people to get, like they had Yankee AL champion merchandise ready to go.
That's crazy. I mean, you know what? I usually don't wear a ton of hats. I might actually go get a Yankee or some kind of
Oh,
World Series.
Oh yeah, no, I gotta find a way to order to get something. Order it. I don't know.
I might try and do it tomorrow. And it was just funny because like at my office at work, like everyone is like a Met fan. I'm like the only Yankee fan like at my job. I'm like, nah, the Yankees are not gonna win. Blah blah. Blah. Yeah, looks like your team's gonna be going to Cancun. Man, I haven't used that reference in a while.
Yeah. I'm kind of toast, and I have to get up in 5 hours.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Anything fun or work?
Work.
Oh, is it one of the UFC things or no?
No, no. I have to go to an open house tomorrow.
Ew.
Ew. Yeah.
But no.
I'm still not over the food poisoning.
Oh no. And you said you ate pizza, right?
Yeah.
It's amazing the simple things in pizza. I've gotten food poisoning from pizza before. It's not good.
My favorite one of my favorite foods has betrayed me.
Well, okay, I'm not gonna make the comment. I don't want to get you in trouble. Anyway. What was I gonna say? One last thing before we go. Remember on Tuesday night, playback, our NBA opening night streams are back. We're gonna be very busy. You and I were working on that.
Knicks Celtics,
and Timberwolves at the Lakers.
Mm-hmm.
I'll play that sound once just because Pat likes it so much. If I can not have the loop track on, because that would sound really bad playing that a million times. There we go. But yeah, so enjoy the football later today also, since it is now officially 1:08 a.m. Eastern here in New York, where we are.
Damn cowboy.
Oh yeah, that's right. That too.
Crybaby of the week.
Oh, I was going to ask if you actually like that.
Yeah.
That might have to be a new thing.
No, keep it for Jerry. Keep it for Jerry. It's his gimmick now.
If you'd have no idea what we're talking about, go watch Football Forecast. And you'll see the incredibly funny video that Tom made.
Mm-hmm.
That was good, by the way.
One last thing. Pay Juan Soto.
Yeah. We're going to have to start. You know what? You know what we'll do? We have to come up with like a weird hashtag campaign for Juan Soto.
Oh no, I was just hold on. Sorry. I was just gonna do this.
I was waiting for that to come up with some. You know, they were saying on the broadcast, they're like, "Oh, well, he's going to be paid more than Shohei," and I'm like, "All right, can we calm down a little bit?" Like,
because you don't think I know, but you don't think BS is going to put his first number out and it's going to be higher than Shohei's.
You know what's funny though? I guarantee you, he was watching that home run go over the wall,
and his eyes turned into dollar signs like cartoon style.
Yeah, like I was literally about to say, this is all he was thinking. Oops.
I think we're both playing it at the same time.
Yeah, that's all that was going through his head. No words, just that sound. He's like, "Yes, I hit the jackpot!" And I'm gonna hate him even more because he's literally gonna like put the Yankees and the Mets against each other in a bidding war
for Soto and Alonso. Oh, that's the thing. Alonso also had his postseason home run. He saw double touches.
You're right, and I have one more thing now that you just said that. Do you think that he's gonna? Well, is he Scott Boras' client also?
Yeah.
So, can you imagine if he tries to pit the two clients against one another and like trying to get one to go to the Mets and one to the Yankees, and basically using them as negotiating ploys against one another?
Are you saying potentially, considering the way that the teams are, that he tries to flip it? Alonso goes to the Yankees,
yes,
and Soto goes to the Mets.
Which I actually think the Mets would win in that regard if they got Soto.
I think so too, but don't kill me. It would actually be smart of him to do that, considering what we just talked about the Yankees' first base situation.
It's true, but Soto fits so well. It seems like in a Yankee uniform, which is rare for a star.
And I think more importantly, and they Cashman and Booney talked about it. Stan talked about it in the post-game show. the atmosphere in that locker room, just the atmosphere, like the way that this team's chemistry is ridiculous, and the bond that this team has with one another. Like, look at all the goofiness with Jazz, and look at all the goofiness that ever since he's come along, ever since Verdugo's come along, just what has happened in that clubhouse.
Well, what's interesting too, and I guess I could say that in a different way. Like from the '90s forward into the 2000s, it was very like serious Yankee baseball. Like there was no
Right. This team,
long mustaches, there was no beards, nothing.
this team has, you could say 17 to 24, but 24 is the one who's going to the World Series. This 2024 Yankees have shown you can be a little goofy and be great at baseball to, be there, to go potentially all the way. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna retract that comment a little bit, because I think the last team that that went to the World Series and actually won it 09, I think they did too. They showed that as well. When you think about Swisher and all the antics that he had.
But there was still more serious guys
Well,
on that team.
you had the core four. You had A-Rod, but
That was like the last year of the core four, if I'm not mistaken.
the last year they won things.
Yeah.
What was I going to say? Oh, and then you had, I think A-Rod kind of played this both sides, because you had him be serious when he was going through his crap, but at the same time, you saw him be a little goofy with the likes of Swisher and Cano, etc.
I mean, if I'm not mistaken, isn't Swisher still working inside the organization too?
I think so. I was just saying Swisher because he's the one who came up with the pie celebration. Wait, was it? I think it was it him or Burnett?
No, that was Burnett, because
Burnett came up with the
he
pie.
used to run around with the towel in the
Yeah.
post games. So yeah, I think that's what you meant. Yeah, I'm just looking at a bunch of tweets. Again, here's another one from Major League Baseball with the Yankees. Like, this is crazy to me. Like, I've never seen them tweet so much about the Yankees on this account. Have you?
Nope. But it's the ALCS, and they're going to the World Series. So their first World Series in 15 years, by the way.
Well, you know what's going to be worse? If it's Yankee Dodgers. Well, actually, if baseball could do it over again, they would have more than 2 days, even if this goes until Tuesday. Actually, they'd have 3 days. But they would want a whole week to promote if it was Yankee Dodgers. Like, I could see them doing like a Judge versus Ohtani, like best player in Major League Baseball campaign.
Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine the amount of stuff that they're going to pull the stops out for?
I can only imagine.
So, I don't know. It's great to be a Yankee fan right now, obviously. I'm sure the nervous energy is going to be with us until this World Series starts on, you said Friday.
I think it's going to go past that for me.
So how late are we going to... So are we officially going to get to November with this World Series?
No. It's going to be Friday, Saturday, Sundays and off, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday if necessary, Thursdays and off. If it goes to Game 6, yes, we will. Because Game 6 would be Friday the 1st. Game 7, if necessary, would be Saturday the 2nd.
We wouldn't have a game on Halloween, would we?
Oh, Halloween would be a scheduled off day. That would be the travel day, but from most likely New York back to LA.
That's good, because I don't know. I don't want to see all the Halloween gimmicks. I'm going to see enough of them on Monday Night Football.
You mean
Thursday Night Football?
Thursday Night Football, with
which is the Jets of all teams.
Mm-hmm.
But no, this is exciting. I'm looking forward to it, and it's been a long time since we've gotten to see the Yankees in the World Series and actually have a good team make it this far. It's been a lot of heartache and angst making it to the ALCS.
A lot of bridesmaids, never the bride.
Well, thanks to Houston.
Mm-hmm. Well, finally that dropped. Finally, we had a team that got over the hump.
Yeah. I mean, now we just got to hope and pray that they come out, they play baseball, play their best baseball, and we hoist a trophy down the cannon of heroes.
That would be something.
I'm curious to see what those prices are for those games at Yankee Stadium.
Well, we don't know because I mean they're already talking about, register or whatever for your tickets, but we don't know because again, if the Mets win, it's 1, 2, 6, 7. If the Dodgers win, it's 3, 4, 5. So we don't even know what days we're even getting.
I mean, if those tickets were doable, like they weren't like going to break my arm and leg to
But they
pay,
will.
like I'd find a way just to be in the building for one of those games. Like I've never had a chance to go to a playoff game as much as a World Series game. I'm trying to look around right now to see if they're doing anything like or if they're promoting World Series tickets yet. Really quick here. Let's see. Postseason tickets. So they do have the Yankee thing up here. Oh, it does. It says buy game 1, 2, 3, and 4. That's weird.
Oh, apparently you talked about the Otani comparison price comment with Soto. Chisholm in those comments the narrative said he deserves $700 million.
Oh God. Someone's got it in like the Yankee to say, shh. Like enough. Stop making the price go higher. Let's see. General seating. Oh, they do have it on here. Yuck. Already.
What is it?
They're showing the. Is that right? The cheapest price is $1,300? No way. That's not fair.
Well, time to sell your kidney on the black market.
Yeah, really. I don't even know if I could justify a $1,300 seat.
It's going to be a bunch of suits probably in the World Series in the Yankee Stadium.
So much for a family of 4 to afford.
Yep. All
oh
right.
man,
I'm tired. I'm gonna go off.
Yeah, I'm tired. We have a lot to do in the next couple of days to get ready for everything else. So enjoy it if you're a Yankee fan. If you're a Yankee hater, I don't know what to tell you. Mets Dodgers left to go. That's going to be entertaining to watch the next couple of days.
Game 6 tonight. If the Mets win, Game 7 tomorrow night.
Yeah. I mean, what a year. Like you said, it's been for New York baseball.
Yep.
The Mets, I think the Mets are more impressive, actually, than the Yankees, to be quite honest.
Because of the fact that the Mets weren't supposed to go all the way.
Well, and that they were 10% chance to make the playoffs.
At one point, yeah.
But yeah, I think that's it. And have a good night, everybody. And we'll see you on Tuesday for NBA opening night for Knicks Celtics and Timberwolves Lakers ring ceremony night for the Celtics. Tom Bell, I'm Nick Morgan. Good night, everybody. We'll see you next time.